Okay, really quickly, folks. It has been a while, clearly. I'm on the West Coast. He's on the East Coast. It makes it really hard to record. Both of our jobs are very stressful, making it very hard to record. But here we are recording.
Making it work, finding the balance, and putting something back into, or making room for a priority that we're celebrating this year or this
Yes.
month. What's up, Janelle?
Hey, Bronzy, for
How
the
are
third
you?
time.
Oh my god. Yo, you can literally tell that we have
Ah,
been on a bit of a hiatus. But how are
they say
you?
third time's a charm, So, yes, let's do this all over again. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. That's I'm good.
So, we're not going to do any of the stuff we did in the beginning.
No,
It
okay,
has been
so
a while. Okay, really quickly, folks. It has been a while, clearly. I'm on the West Coast. He's on the East Coast. It makes it really hard to record. Both of our jobs are very stressful, making it very hard to record. But here we are recording.
making it work, finding the balance, and putting something back into, or making room for a priority that we're celebrating this year or this
Yes.
month. 3 years. We thought it would be
hmm
magnificent to like get back to it. Black History Month and 3 year anniversary. So we're back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think also it's important to note that, like, I genuinely enjoy doing this podcast and doing this podcast with you. So, like, you know, it didn't really take much for, I think, me to be like, yes, let's get back behind the mic,
hmm
type thing. So happy to be back. Um, Back for real, like being doing this consistently, and like we don't plan to take another 4 or 5 month hiatus anytime soon. But again,
Right.
life,
Likewise.
life.
Likewise. I enjoy it as well. And yeah, like I said, it was about just pretty much like, okay, we need to at this point figure out how to make this work. We knew going into, the relocation and all that it was going to be a bit harder than it was previously, because not only are we dealing with, like you said, two demanding roles that we're both part of in our 9 to 5s, but then also the time change that we also have to account for. But if there's a will, there's a way.
All right.
And here's the
So
way.
to that, yeah, to that, let's cheers. We started off with
Cheers.
coffee, but third time we were like, no, let's stop and let's
I need
put
a
let's
drink at
let
this point.
yeah, cheers.
Cheers. So, do you want to get into Above the Fold?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Do you
So
remember
when
that?
was
Do you
it?
remember that segment?
Yeah, that sounds familiar. Actually, above the fold. First topic we have is the Super Bowl. Obviously, time isn't registering for me. Was that last weekend? The weekend before? Last weekend? Last weekend.
Last weekend.
Yeah, last weekend we had the Super Bowl. Um, Eagles versus the Chiefs. I don't know if you're well. I mean, I know you are a football fan, and obviously you were a little hurt by the outcome. I was as well. But what were your thoughts on the Super Bowl as a whole?
Sad.
I feel like that's exactly what you said, like probably to your therapist. How are you feeling? Sad. Okay, give me a little bit more.
Sad about the outcome of the game. But I was very excited about the halftime performance. Um, okay, so let me just say I am a diehard Eagles fan, so that's why I was sad, because like I don't want that. It's not an assumption. Um,
Have you
and then
seen
also I
Jalen
feel like
Hurts?
the
I was sad too.
oh my god, you and
And
everybody
also, I'm
the
a
rest
football
of
fan.
you
So.
are.
I'm a football fan. Yeah. I mean, my team wasn't in the game, but yes, I'm
Who's your
from
team?
Florida. The Dolphins. I'm a hometown girl,
Y'all been doing all right.
Like
Y'all been doing all right.
I always go for the home team. All the home teams. So,
Okay, so I'm glad that it was a competitive game. I'm glad it was two black quarterbacks, and I just
uh,
hate that when it's competitive in that sense that officials, refs, they can make calls, and it sways the game because it is that close. And I feel like that was the case, but that's neither here nor there for all intent and purposes. I do want to focus on the halftime show,
Hmm.
which I thought was magnificent. I saw some people review it. I'm like, y'all will never be satisfied with anything, but
I
I thought
didn't.
it was
I didn't.
great.
Yeah, I didn't understand the critique of the show at all because number one, like, okay, yes, I understand it has been a while since we've seen Rihanna on a stage,
Hmm.
but if memory serves me correctly, she was never out there busting 8 counts. Like,
Right. She's just a vibe,
what did
and she
y'all?
totally
Yeah, she
delivered. It was captivating
exactly.
without
She's
her having to do so.
exactly. I'm like the creative direction, the set design, like that alone was like mind blowing to me. And then you got this, you have her up there announcing her second pregnancy, her second baby, the whole nine. But even like even kind of going a little bit further back than that, like when it was first announced,
The lead up.
I thought that was the lead up to it, the announcing that Rihanna was going to be the halftime performer. Again, she has not really, like, her name has not been attached to music in quite some time other than her work for Black Panther.
Hmm.
So that alone was going to bring in millions of people to the Super Bowl, to
Yeah,
watch the Super Bowl, to watch the halftime performance.
there was so much anticipation, and that happened for a couple of reasons. Everything you just stated. All last year we were talking about like, oh, are we getting new music from Rihanna? And I remember saying, oh, we're definitely getting it this summer. And then also Apple Music taking over and now being, the host of the halftime performance for the Super Bowl. That was something that I was looking forward to. Like, how is this going to come to life? I like the promo for it that they did. Um,
The
and
shot of
also,
just her hand with the football and like her tattoo.
right. And then also, like, I feel like she brought her whole self to this event. Leading up to it, her whole brand was a part of it. Fenty,
Hmm.
leading up to it, they released like a digital pack, or they released a pack of, I don't know makeup, but the sponge thing that you pat your face. They did the football shape
Yeah,
of that. What's that called?
let's just call it the sponge thing.
The sponge thing. Okay, sorry. Yeah,
I
but
don't know.
that's a brand. So she said, let's just call it this sponge thing. But that, and I saw the promo for it. I saw the promo for the different shades that were coming down on the football, like on a conveyor belt.
Hmm. Was
So
that
everything was involved.
was that a partnership? Was that particular piece a partnership with the NFL, or was that with New Era? Or am I confusing? Because I think there was also like a jersey that was released that said Fenty on it. There was a whole bunch of stuff that happened. I know she did some stuff with New Era.
I don't know, but either way, that's something I don't have the answer to. But however you slice it, because of this performance, her brand was able to execute and bake in the strategy for everything leaning towards this moment.
Yeah.
Um, and then like the show itself, all the dancers were wearing Fenty, custom Fenty, that bodysuit or whatever
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
was, that then went on sale after the Super Bowl. You saw
She
her
started
plug
the.
the makeup
Yeah, I
line
think you're
with
about to say the
the,
same thing. Yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean. Um, and then Rihanna has hits for days. Like it don't take much other than her showing up for the hits to still hit. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah,
like,
that's
me
wild.
being
Like if you
a
think about it,
musician. Yeah,
I was just gonna say, if you think about it, like, okay, it was a 14-minute performance, and she only did maybe like max 20 seconds of each hit, and she filled up 14 minutes of straight hits.
yeah. It could have easily been double the time and still not enough time. Um,
Yeah,
and then I like the arrangements and all that stuff. Like I just think it was a really cool and well executed performance. And then
yeah,
like just the visual element of it as well, with the risers and the stage and the movement and then the camera work. Like I thought it was phenomenal, especially for her not to have brought out any guests or anything, you know, guest.
yes, yes.
I thought it was a really captivating show.
No, I agree. And then, I mean, then just thinking about the tangible results, right? I mean, you have here her stream surge 640%. I think searches for Fenty Beauty or Fenty surged 833%.
Wow.
So, I mean, net positive, I think, for
Hmm.
her as a brand, but also the NFL as a brand. And, let's not discount the work of Jay-Z and especially Blue Ivy in the business aspect of this, because we know who's running that household over there.
Right.
Um,
Literally.
yeah, Blue Ivy had on her business hat, and she really put together a great show here.
Yeah, I mean, and then I thought the pregnancy reveal was so cute. Like it wasn't overt, so at first it was just like, did she? And like the
Yeah,
performance of while she was performing, you just like that's not still like from the last child, like where. So it was
yeah,
cool to
it
see
was
see.
weird though, because like you never want to like assume that a woman is pregnant, right? But I'm like, she done rubbed her belly about 3 times. Hold on,
Yes,
time out. I know we not supposed to say it, but like, is everybody else thinking what I'm thinking? And
yes.
then it was confirmed, and I was like, okay, cool. I don't feel like an asshole anymore.
I immediately turned to Twitter like, are y'all seeing what I'm seeing? Am I tripping? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I didn't go to Twitter. I went to the group chat because I don't trust the trolls on Twitter.
I mean, I wasn't asking them. I was just seeing if Twitter was
Oh,
speaking.
okay,
You know what I
okay, okay.
mean?
Yeah, got you.
And then did you see the
The sign
what do you
language
call the yeah, the sign language? What
interpreter.
is
Yeah,
it? What's yes. I got so
amazing.
much life from her signing Rihanna's performance. She said, "Oh, if you're performing, I'm performing.
She
I am
said
giving the
it's.
same emotion that you are giving up there on that stage." Like whomever is
She
her
said it's
agent
time
or
to go.
whoever, yeah, I need y'all to keep. That's the energy. That's the energy. I love
Yeah,
that.
I saw her interview. She did an interview with Robin Roberts on Good Morning America too
Oh
recently,
wow.
just about the whole thing and like the prep for it and like yeah. So shout out to her,
Oh
Justina
wow.
Miles,
That's
right?
dope. Yeah, yeah, Justina Miles. And then was this last week? Yeah, last week we saw the British Vogue cover that was released
Yes,
of
yes.
Rihanna.
Caused a
And
lot of controversy amongst the hoteps, but I love anything that gets their feathers riled. So,
why? What was the controversy?
oh, you know how these alpha males are like, she's leading him and her body language is strong and her chest is out and he is holding the baby and he has a soft stand. I have to, we're going to drop it in here. They did a whole like illustrative like analysis of the cover and showing their body language and her standing upright where he was leaning and she is facing the camera and exerting this confidence whereas he is cowering in the. I
Wow.
was like, if y'all don't get you a
Wow.
job,
A
get
job.
a
Find
job,
something to do.
get a
Seems like nobody
hobby.
wants to do the work these days because this ain't the work we asking you for. Wow, really?
Yeah, yeah, they were mad. The alpha, the one, the
Yeah,
alpha
I know
male
exactly who
incel
you're talking
types were
about. Yeah.
upset. But the cover itself, the cover was beautiful. I have not had a chance. I've seen snippets and like excerpts from the story, but I have not read the complete story yet.
Yeah, I haven't read
But
it.
yeah, the
It was
editorial
beautiful.
aspect of it, the
Yeah.
photos were beautiful.
Yeah, so like it just the last thing I'll say, it doesn't look like we're getting any music anytime soon. Which is okay. We don't I mean, she's
It's
giving
fine.
a lot. You know what I mean? Go
Yeah,
listen to what's already out there.
yeah.
And while you're waiting in anticipation.
Anti to me was a masterpiece. I love running that back, and I'll continue to run it back.
Same, likewise. I'll probably put that on today.
Yes.
So, speaking of Super Bowl, what did you think of the commercials? That's the only other reason to watch the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is the event for the game, especially when your team is in it. Otherwise, it's like
Hmm.
you just watch it. The commercials, well, the performance, especially when you're a fan of who's performing. But then the commercials are always something that, especially we as marketers, look forward to. What did you think this year?
Yeah. This year left a little to be desired. I mean, I think they were okay, but there wasn't anything that like really, really blew my socks off. I did like and we'll talk about it a little later, the McDonald's commercial,
Hmm.
because I think that there was like a good insight there. Um,
So
Tubi,
my
I think
theory is,
everybody
yeah,
was talking
two
about.
be one, two be one, two be one, hands down. I think everybody has a Tubi story. What happened when the Tubi commercial came on for you?
Hmm. What happened with me?
Yeah.
I was too lazy to reach for anything. I was just like, oh, here we go. TV acting up. I was like, this TV is too new to be doing this.
Did you?
And then
Okay,
I
so you were
realized it was
watching.
a commercial.
Did you watch? Were you with anybody, or you watched alone?
No, no. Yeah, I was home and
Okay,
yeah.
so I think that's the difference. So I went home to my family's house, and we're all like in the living room. Me, Amadi, my siblings. Like it was just like a lot of people, the kids.
Hmm.
So I'm like, somebody's on the remote. Everybody's standing there. You know, we're diehard Eagles fans. So you just imagine we're all like looking at the game. We think they're commentating on the game and something's about to happen. And all of a sudden we see it flash to like, an app. And everybody, stand up. Don't nobody move. We still didn't know it was a Tubi commercial. We actually turned off, like went away from the channel and then came back and thought we solved the problem. We didn't know until after the game that
That
that was
was
a
a
commercial. I was like, y'all won.
ah,
Like, you did exactly what
yeah.
needed
I
to be
think
done when you're talking about disruption and causing like a moment.
yeah. Yeah, I think for me the reason why I didn't like overreact was because number one, like the sounds the TV was making, it was like my TV doesn't make that noise. So I'm like, what
Mm,
is going on? It was confusing, but then I was just like,
yeah.
oh, okay, I see what y'all did there. Cute. Um,
See, I
but yeah,
couldn't even pay
other
attention
than
to that because I was just like, I had a couple drinks and then I wasn't at home, so I don't know what kind of sounds their TV make
yeah.
or what apps they got. So I was just like lost, like what is happening? But
uh,
yeah, it was cool. That was a cool moment. I also think that budgets, like when there's an economic downturn, a lot of time marketing gets cut, and
yeah.
Super Bowl spots are really really expensive. There was one I want to say it's Budweiser. For the first time in so many years, they hadn't had a Super Bowl spot, and they have had a spot
Right.
consecutively for a really, really long run. And I think that's telling that budgets were cut. I also saw a lot of local commercials, so I feel like the slots were not filled,
Yeah.
which kind of is another tell sign that it just wasn't
No.
there.
No, I hear that, but I think of the spots that were shown then, like there was one spot, I mean, who was it that did there was a lot of celebrity in these spots. So like when you think about, I think a 30-second spot is already 7 million. Then you think about what talent fees are and all this kind of stuff. Like,
Hmm.
come on, you gotta make the money make sense. And I mean, I guess, maybe to these brands it did, but I think the general consensus and the conversation that I've been seeing in my group chat and online was that like there have been better years, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I did see that there was a couple of ones where they leveraged like Netflix shows. Who was that?
Which
It
one?
was like the chip brand, Popcorners or something. But they were
I
doing
don't
like
remember.
Breaking Bad, but they
Oh,
took the
yes,
take on
yes,
like
yes.
breaking into good things or something like that. I thought it was,
Yeah.
they were cool, but like when you're talking about the whole, when you think of the commercials were really really good, it didn't hit as much as it did before.
One thing though, like one thing related to
M
the
and
commercials,
M's.
but
Did you
like
see the M&Ms?
yes, yes, I did because a while ago, while we were on hiatus, they announced that the M&Ms were doing away with like the M&M spokespeople in favor of Maya Rudolph. I already knew that was a setup to something they were going to do at the Super Bowl because for how
Hmm.
many decades have y'all been using these M&Ms and like y'all not getting rid of the M&Ms? You know what I mean? You're just trying to
Right.
set up that you're going to do something cool with Maya Rudolph or whatever. Cool.
Hmm.
But the commercial, I think it was an Uber Eats commercial with Diddy, and he had people in the studio trying to sing
Remaking, yeah,
remake
jingles and
whatever.
stuff.
Did
Yeah.
you not find it weird that Khalees was in there singing Milkshake? Doesn't she have a fraught relationship with that song and with Pharrell and all of that kind of stuff? Like she doesn't get paid for that song, and that was the
Yes.
whole thing with her and Beyonce and Renaissance. So I thought that was
Yes.
interesting
That is
that she would,
interesting.
yeah, like why that song then? Like if they wanted her, like she could have done, I don't know,
That
whatever.
is
When I saw
interesting.
it, I was just like, wait
That's
a
a good
minute,
call
I
out.
thought,
That's a really good
yeah,
call out. I did like the Doritos, like the triangle playing thing. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Like that was something that was cool. But yeah, um, and then obviously, I'm always staying Serena in the Michelob Ultra.
Of course. Of course. Of course. Of course. That was really
I
good.
just love seeing her now, especially being that she's evolved. So any chance I get, I'm like, I gotta
I
cheer.
love you. I love you adopting her language now that she's evolved. Oh yeah, because she
When I
evolved out of
evolved.
tennis. Yeah.
But yeah,
But the
that's
other
kind of
the
like my
other
take on the
commercial,
Super Bowl.
yeah, the other commercial though that we alluded to a bit was the McDonald's one with that had Cardi B and Offset in it. The premise of the commercial was about couples and how well they know each other, well enough that they know each other's McDonald's orders. They had Cardi and Offset in there, and then after that spot aired, they announced that the next iteration of McDonald's famous meals would be a joint meal between Cardi and Offset to launch Valentine's Day, which was a couple
Valentine's
days
Day.
later. Yeah, so I thought that that was a cute. Number one, I thought it was a good insight to play on. I thought it was just a cute spot and a great kind of tease to lead into that partnership.
Yes, I think the timing of that was perfect. Like the tease, like you were saying for the commercial, so have so many eyes on it. And then leading into Valentine's Day with it being a couple for the McDonald's meal.
Right.
Something that I brought up before that we discussed was like my questioning was around like, is this for a brand? Like when you think of the marketing funnel, where does this land? Does it land in like brand awareness? Is it sales? And I think we kind of talked about how it's full funnel. When you think of some people that may not eat McDonald's on a regular basis, this is something where it's like, oh, this is cool. Like it's captivating. I like what you did there. But then people are going to McDonald's because they want this meal. To your
Yeah, they
point
are.
of like they want the bag or they want to see what the experience is like, or it's like it's a cool experience to say you did. And then also when
Hmm.
you think about social now and everyone doing these remakes, did you see the TikTok spot? The McDonald's TikTok spot where Cardi B and Offset are running out of the
Walking
McDonald's,
out
getting
the
into the
McDonald's
truck.
with all their bags. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So people are on social, like you're getting UGC of people remaking that, or people pretending as if they're in line and taking those orders.
Hmm.
And then I think you saw another spot where it is generating some sort of demand. And we've seen these types of meals that McDonald's has launched historically. So something must be working.
Yeah, like I used the last, um, I guess, like partnership that they had with Cactus Plant Flea Market, which I don't know necessarily falls under the famous meals campaign, but in order everybody wanted to collect those toys, those figurines, and in order to get those, you had to buy the meal or pay however much on the resale market for it. So like people were purchasing because that was the only way to get those coveted items. And people wanted the box, they wanted the Happy Meal box and
Mhm.
things of that nature. And so I've seen a lot of TikToks and a lot of content on YouTube where people are going and buying the meal just because they want that bag or they want the cup. And in order to get those things, you got to buy the meal. Uh,
Yeah, and then
so.
also you said it, McDonald's got money because you think about the Super Bowl spot alone, but then
Mhm.
you also think about the talent that they are
Yes,
using.
yes.
That's not a cheap feat.
Yeah, Cardi's fee is it's up there. And then you throw in her husband on top of that, and yeah, I think McDonald's McDonald's might be recession proof a little bit,
Right. They
just a little
are
bit.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. But yeah, I like that. I like that this whole campaign altogether. I think this is one of my favorite ones.
yeah, I agree. Um, some other news that we've gotten recently is around who would be the new head of menswear at Louis Vuitton, since Virgil's passing. And we found out last week that it is going to be Pharrell Williams, which I was a bit shocked by. I'm not mad at, but when I thought of names of people who would fill Virgil's place, only one name kept coming to mind for me, and that was Samuel Ross from A Cold Wall, the brand out in London. He has a partnership with Converse. He was mentored by Virgil. He was a part of like that whole
Yeah.
web that comes from the name that will not be spoken, Kanye West, uh, and like his design endeavors and stuff. And it just felt like a natural. I don't know. It just to me felt like okay, that makes so much sense for them to tap him. But I'm not mad at Pharrell, even though he doesn't have like a design background. Neither did Virgil, um, a technical design background. But he has an eye. You know what I mean? Like he has a POV. Um, I wonder how this works with because I think he has like connections to Chanel in some kind of way. So interested to see how that works. But I'm excited to see what he comes up with. And he's worked with Louis Vuitton in the past. Like they've been one-off collab projects and things like
Oh, I
that.
didn't know
But
that. I didn't realize that. Well,
yeah.
that's probably why his name was in the room. Well, when I think he wasn't an unexpected choice, but when I think of Pharrell, he is a multi-hyphenate singer, producer, entrepreneur, and somewhat like a street style.
Hmm.
Like he has that aesthetic where, when he steps out, there's something appealing about how he does so.
Yeah.
I also know that Louis Vuitton in the past, they've stated in their strategy that they want to move beyond just fashion and be a cultural brand. So when you think of operating across sports, music, and different media as a way of being a part of the culture, I think Pharrell is
Hmm.
a good choice if that is the part of the overarching strategy, because that's
No,
kind of like how and who he is.
no, I agree wholeheartedly. And then when you think about just like LVMH as a whole, and like recently they partnered um, with Jay Z, and now you got Pharrell, and like there's clearly an overall strategy that LVMH is employing, and this is just kind of like one of those pieces of that broader strategy. So excited to see what else they come up with. What number one, what Pharrell comes up with over at Louis Vuitton, but then what the parent company is able to do in this space and tapping in with those like cultural, what do you want to call them? Our culture leaders. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
My copywriting brain isn't working today. It's Sunday.
Oh my God. I feel like I need to take a copywriting course at this point. I'm like, how am I doing this now? But anyway, yeah, I am excited to see what comes about. Like, still, as it'll always be RIP to Virgil.
Hmm.
But I think Pharrell is a good candidate to kind of like take the torch and carry it. And I'm excited to see what that looks like.
Same. So next on the list, as we mentioned before a little bit, like it's Black History Month, and usually during Black History Month, you see a lot of brands speaking to the Black audience, pandering to the Black audience, getting it wrong, getting it right.
Something's
Um,
there. At least there's
something is there,
something's
but have you seen anything this
Well,
year?
now that Black Lives Matter is over,
Now that
no,
Black
I,
Lives Black Lives have mattered enough.
right now that Black Lives Matters has, we've done enough there, and with that phrasing and with all of those dealings, we gave money, we pledged, it's enough, it's enough. I haven't seen anything since the Miami Police Department patrol car. Was that Miami?
Knew you were going to bring that up. Yeah, it was Miami. We don't have to go into it. They knew they were wrong for that. That's not the first time they did that either. I feel like we talked
It's
about that on the
not.
podcast either. We talked about them doing some kind of patrol car like that. Let's go back and check this time either last year or the year before, 2022 or 2020. It could have even been 2020 when we first started this podcast. Miami has done that
I'm
before.
gonna need you to write a letter to your
N-
senators
n-
in your House
I'm a
of
Portland resident.
Representatives,
I don't know what you're talking
your
about.
governor, or whomever else.
I
Well,
live in Portland.
tell your parents. Somebody, it has to be stopped.
That's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Um,
But when I
but
saw
I'm
that, I said I
wondering,
saw enough. But yeah,
yeah, I'm
but I
wondering
haven't
though,
seen
like, is
much.
this lack of, yeah, me either. But I'm wondering if this lack of uh lack of activations and stuff that we've seen are tied any to like the political climate that we see now, right? Like I feel like our political climate is very polarizing around racial messaging, whether that be in our school systems, things of that nature. Are brands being maybe this is just a hypothesis. Brands are being overly cautious because the country is right now so polarized when it comes to initiatives that speak to one demographic, right? Like, and when I say that, I mean the Republicans. The Republicans don't like when we talk about black people, when we say Black Lives Matter, and now the political climate allows for those dissenting opinions to like be voiced without retribution. So like
But
could
but
that
when
have
you
something to do with it?
yes and no. When I if that is the case, then you would think that there are brands that are willing to go against the grain and be opposed to that. Because some brands are more liberal, and it's like if that's what the call to action is, or that's what the overall like climate is, then I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to subscribe to that, and I want to ruffle feathers. I want to make some noise. So for that reason, I'm going to have a dope campaign that's speaking to one audience during a month, a month that's set aside for them.
I think you're giving brands a lot more credit. Um,
But
yeah,
isn't that a lot
I
of
mean, I
times
think
what
maybe,
good marketing is being disruptive and going against the grain?
yeah, but that's implying that these people want to be good marketers. You just said, like in times of recession, marketing budgets get cut. People have to be a bit more conservative. I think it all works together.
All of it.
And I'm just hypothesizing here. I'm like, but we can't. You know, it's a fact that there are fewer, or at least it is less visible, the brands that are speaking specifically to Black History Month. Um, I just went on Ben and Jerry's page just because they're usually the ones that are speaking out.
Hmm.
Excuse me. And they have a campaign out with Colin Kaepernick. I don't know that it's necessarily a Black History Month campaign, but I'm sure timing wise that wasn't lost on them. But yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think it's a lot. Like there are things happening, but I don't think there's anything overt. Like when we're thinking about like
Hmm.
out of home TV commercial spots, or I think if there are things happening, it's like IRL, or if it's a store brick and mortar, it's like, oh, we have a Black History Month section where we're highlighting local designers and things of that sort. I don't think like there's these big tentpole activations happening. Not like we've
Yeah.
seen in recent years.
So I wanted to ask, we see that there is clearly a difference between Black History Month last month or the months prior, especially, or the years prior, especially 2020, and now. What, and if it is a situation where it's the political climate that is pushing us into this space, what needs to change for us to get to a place where brands um, are feeling willing to talk to us again in the ways that we want to be spoken to?
Well, I feel like we've stopped making as much noise. Um, and then I feel like all those commitments that were coming out of every corner have also stopped. But it's like once those were happening, it almost felt like it silenced the general community. And therefore, it's like there's no demand, there's no push. So it's like, oh, we can
Hmm.
silently skate by without really doing anything. And to the point where some of those brands that were doing it because it was performative and it was like, oh, we got the money, we can do it right now. Let's do it. Let's make a statement. Let's be, politically correct and all of those things. And now to the point that we were making earlier where there is economic pressure and marketing is being cut. This is something that is like, okay, it's a tent pole. It's 1 month out of the year. Maybe we don't overtly speak about or put a lot of marketing dollars behind some campaign for something that doesn't have a lot of longevity. So I think that's part of the reason why. And then again, this is all just my opinion. For that to change, unfortunately, it feels like things like that don't happen. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that actually. Nor
I
do I
mean, I
have
think you were
a
onto
strong
something.
theory.
Yeah, I think you were onto something there. But something else you brought up, something you said reminded me of like, again, going back to 2020 and all of the promises that brands made and all of this kind of stuff. And I think we've asked it on the podcast before, but like, who is tracking that stuff? Has anybody been tracking that stuff? And has anybody done what they said they were going to do?
Black People Inc.
Black
We're
People
supposed to
Inc. Yeah,
we're
like
supposed to track it.
yeah, like that hasn't been on the agenda at our monthly meetings for quite some time. So
I
I would
do
like to know
think
like
I would like
who
to
is
see
still
if
tracking towards their goals.
right who has fulfilled one, who is tracking toward
Hmm.
those commitments, and who is totally just got cut. Because it can get cut silently and nobody would know. You know what I mean? I am
Exactly,
interested
especially
to know.
if your promises were vague as hell to begin with. Like we gonna donate money to Black people.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So that's interesting. Maybe some research on that front. It's worth it.
Yeah, I want to do some digging. I'm gonna do some digging. Um, Another thing that we have on the agenda, uh, LeBron. LeBron James broke the the NBA's all-time leading scoring record. So he broke um,
Kareem.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's record, and he hit the 38,388 point mark.
Come on,
Uh,
stats. Come on,
I mean,
stats.
listen. You don't want to know why I had to know that number.
Oh, okay.
Work,
Right.
but um, number one, that is a great feat for him. All the brands that he's affiliated with spoke to the moment when it happened, including Nike, who I thought put together a really kind of touching spot for him that also was a callback to the first ad they did for him when he was signed as a Nike athlete. I believe it was the first ad, the Can I Get a Witness? Or yeah, I think it was I think the first ad was called like, maybe it was called like Can I Get a Witness? And this ad was called like I Am a Witness or something like that.
Hmm.
Either way, it was a callback to that first ad that had like Bernie Mac playing the pastor, and like all these people
Hmm.
were in the church, and he was coming down the middle of the aisle like dribbling and crossing people over and stuff like that. So I thought that was cool. Tonally, it was a different tone from that first one. The first one was very comedic. This one
Yeah.
was, you know, it was more of like Nike's current tone, like the weight of the moment, you know, black and white, archival footage, that whole thing. I thought that was pretty cool.
That was it was just a social spot, right?
No, it aired as soon as the commercial break after he broke the scoring
I
record.
wasn't watching. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I love that.
yeah, he.
That's dope.
Mhm.
I mean, that's monumental. Like I love these moments that we're living through where it has such an impact that I feel like I don't know. Sometimes I feel like we don't understand the gravity of it, but this is like history in the making that we're actually experiencing in real time. And I'll never not celebrate those types of things. Like, you have the LeBron haters that want, Michael or Kobe or
But see,
whomever. There's the conversation of the GOATs and all of that. And they'll be like, oh, but he's been playing for forever or whatever. But even that is a feat in and of itself to be able to have the longevity
exactly,
that you have and still be out there
exactly.
and produce what you have produced. So yeah, and then
Yeah,
like just all that he's done as well off the court, like he's a brand now. I mean, obviously he's been a
yeah.
brand, but I think outside of the basketball arena, he's expanded so much. To the point of you're saying all of the brands that he's involved in spoke to the moment.
Yeah. And I think that like this milestone in his career is even testament to that. You know, people talking about like the GOAT conversation I think a lot of like the conversation around him breaking this record is like, okay, is that conversation dead now? At least he's getting closer and closer to like stopping all that conversation, um, because numbers don't lie, right? Is that what they say?
The conversation will never stop because the argument will
Well,
be,
yeah, of
oh,
course
if
not,
Jordan played
because
that
haters
long,
are
he
always
would
going
have
to be.
broke the record at this time, or if
Yeah, but
it's going to
Jordan
be
didn't play
perpetual.
that long. You know what I mean? Like that will always be the rebuttal.
Yeah.
So I just think it's obviously it's a huge feat, and then for a brand like Nike to honor that moment in the way that they did. I think the other thing though, another big piece of like Nike news that we missed during our hiatus was John Morant getting his signature shoe.
Hmm.
And I think that he's the first basketball player I want to say in a really long time, or at least male basketball player that has gotten a signature shoe deal from them. So I'm excited to see what that looks like for him too. I think they just, they just released his signature shoe. I think they're in Salt Lake City for All Star Weekend doing some stuff around that. So um, as John Morant, as his star continues to rise in the NBA, I'm excited to see what his brand journey looks like. Uh, what him becoming a brand looks like, especially because he seems to be a little bit of a wild card, a little bit low key.
Does he?
Yeah. Was it not like a couple weeks ago he got in trouble
Yeah.
because the Indiana Pacers said, we don't need to. He
Yeah.
just needs to stop. He needs to chill out. He needs to chill out and like focus on the money. Focus on basketball and focus on the opportunities and
Yeah.
stop trying to like be Lil Baby or whoever the hell
Oh
else he's
God.
trying to
Right.
be out
Right.
there.
Right. Yeah, I agree to that. Yeah. Congrats, LeBron.
Yeah. Congrats to
All right.
LeBron.
So let
Um,
me.
yeah, go
Speaking
for
of
it.
really quick, I just gotta touch this. So I know this was a couple weeks ago, but the Grammys. But speaking of these moments that are cultural and we're living in real time of like absolute magnificence and greatness, Beyonce broke the record for all time Grammys, and I was excited about that.
I'm excited too. I mean, it's not on our list, but I'm excited too. Where'd that come from?
It is on the
You
list.
just
You don't see
thinking
it?
about it? No.
Oh,
I
I
see
mean, I didn't
Grammys.
mention. I didn't mention because I think it just tied into like these moments of
Yeah.
excellence,
Of
black
greatness.
excellence,
Yeah.
where LeBron took over the all-time scoring record, and then now Beyonce she took over the all-time Grammy record. So just hand in hand. So
Yeah.
maybe it was just
I
my
hear
thought in
that.
real time.
Were you
Uh,
were you felt some type of way about her not winning album of the year? I'm sure you did.
I did,
No?
but at this point, it's expected. Like I don't ever
Yeah.
expect her to get album of the year from the Grammys. But we've talked about
Yeah.
this every year since we've been a
Every year.
podcast.
So at least we know we'll have that bit of content
Right.
to talk about.
And then the other
Um,
thing,
mhm.
go ahead.
No, go for it.
Viola
Say
Davis is now an
it.
EGOT. So that's also something that's amazing. Literally to see, like, just in the last 10 years, how Viola has continued to like truck and truck and truck and truck and get recognition and rise and be an advocate um, for Black women in entertainment. And then to see her getting her flowers for the work that she has been putting in, it's very well deserved. So congrats to her as
Yeah.
well.
The fact that Viola won the Grammy uh, for an audiobook, the audiobook of her narrating like her story. I don't know if it was like a children's book or if it was like no, it's a memoir, right? It was the one. I think you might have done it for like for one of our like guess that spokespersons that I didn't get like way back when. I'm pretty sure you did. But for her to win off of that audiobook, and it be very personal to her, I think probably felt really good. So shout out to Viola Davis.
Yeah, shout out to her. She's excellent. I love seeing her. I'm a huge fan of hers. So I like to celebrate the wins, especially with our Black women.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah. So have you
we
heard
also
about? Go ahead.
no, you go. You go.
I was about to say. So my brother, he works in education, so high school education. And
I see where this is going.
yeah, so he had hit me up and was like, "Have you heard of this thing called Chat GPT?" And I was like, "No." So I initially heard from it about it from him, and he was saying like students are starting to write papers or reports using this AI system. Okay, anything I say about this, I don't know much about, so I may be mis interpreting. Um, and I was like, "What do you mean? Like, how does that happen?" So he sent me the site, and I played around with it a bit, and it pretty
Hmm.
much models information based off of what you ask it to do.
Right.
AI, and it seems like there's a lot of funding that's going behind AI in general, but this is one of it,
Hmm.
one of them.
Yeah. So I think before we started recording, you mentioned it. It's on our list with a question mark, right? And like you compared it to Google or like search. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
I
yeah,
said
it's
what it pretty
that.
much does is it aggregates information that's out there within a search engine and then spits it back to you in a way of whatever like you I don't want to say
The
code,
way
but
that you
in a
ask it.
yeah, the way that you ask it.
Yeah. But I think that's the piece there that makes it interesting, right? So it's one thing to be like, "Hey, give me information on, you know, I don't know, give me information on Beyonce's latest album." Okay, then it's very much like Google. But when I tell it, "Write me a 10 paragraph essay about the importance of Renaissance to the broader American pop culture," and it can do that, things get a little interesting, but a little scary, but a little, I get like how that could be problematic to the school system, right?
Hmm.
So coincidentally, I start playing with it on Friday or so. I was having a conversation with my nail tech, and she mentioned it, and that like a friend of hers used it to write a reply email to a customer, and she was like, it was really, really like good. So I'm like, hold on, let me see that. Let me play around with this. What I will say is like some of us might be out of a job fairly soon. This thing
Yes.
is really, really good. And so just for fun, I gave it a prompt. I said, write a paragraph about the podcast Witcha Black Ads celebrating its 3-year anniversary. And this is what it said. This
Wow.
is what it spit out. It said, Witcha Black Ads, a podcast that explores and celebrates Black culture and creativity, is marking its 3-year anniversary. Hosted by creative professionals Ebony and Eliza. I don't know who Ebony and Eliza are, but the podcast provides a platform for Black voices and showcases the richness and diversity of Black art, music, literature, and more. Over the past 3 years, Witcher Black Ads has become a beloved and influential voice in the Black creative community, sharing stories of Black excellence and highlighting the importance of representation in media. As the podcast celebrates this important milestone, it continues to inspire and uplift Black voices and serves as a testament to the power of community, creativity, and collaboration. Now, other than the Ebony and Eliza part,
I'm Ebony, you Eliza.
no, I'm Ebony. You Eliza.
Okay. Wow, that is actually pretty good.
Yeah, that's not a little scary to you?
It is very scary. Like these things could
I mean,
be,
but it's also very useful. But I could see where that power can be used. You know,
mhm.
that was that was the prosecco bottle. It
Oh, oh, oh,
the
oh.
cork flew out. Um,
Wow. I'm
but yeah, I
okay.
can see how that can go either way. What are you thinking?
I don't know what I'm thinking. I haven't formulated thoughts yet. Like I do see the use how it's useful, but I do see the
Uh huh.
scary part as well. with anything that's AI, especially as we start to make these strides and advances with it. I think the idea is that companies, people want to save money, and in doing so, it could potentially put people out of jobs, like whole industries where you don't need people to do. And it's so much more advanced than just that piece when when you think about
Yeah.
some of these more sophisticated systems that can come from this. So I don't know, Janelle.
Yeah, you see it already in the art world. Like, I mean, minus the fact that like the AI, some of these AI tools aren't really good at like making hands and teeth. But other
Hmm.
than that, like the artwork that's coming out of it is pretty amazing too.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, it. I think these things can be used as tools to help us do our jobs more efficiently and effectively. But I think that they could also replace us at some point too. And not that that hasn't been happening already in other industries and other, in other, yeah,
Yeah.
in other industries. Like you go to the grocery store now, more than half of the checkout lines are self-checkout. There are no such thing as like toll booths anymore, right? Everything is
Hmm.
told by plate.
Right. Right. Right.
um so other industries have already been seeing like technology technology replacing them. So I don't know why people in quote unquote white collar jobs or more corporate jobs thought that they were immune. But just it'll be interesting to
I don't
follow
think
and
we
to
think.
see
I don't
how.
think people think it's a matter of immunity. I think it's just facing the reality that this is
Mm,
real, where it's like it's actually
no,
scary,
no, no. I think
and that is
no.
happening
I think
this
when
soon.
yeah, no. I think that when like toll when toll workers start getting replaced, and when the like garbage trucks became a bit more automated, and when self checkout lines first came to be, I think that corporate America didn't. I don't think many people in corporate America felt threatened. That's what I mean. But that was like
Oh,
how many
got you,
years
got
ago?
you, got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, like just on that like same lines, and especially because we already talked about McDonald's. McDonald's recently unveiled an automated store where there's no workers. Like
Hmm.
there's the
I mean,
machines back there making the burgers and dropping the fries.
yeah. Have you been to downtown LA recently? Have you seen the robots delivering food, crossing the
Yes.
street, and all that kind of stuff? And I'm like,
Yeah. Yep.
this
I've
is
seen that.
insane.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm interested. I'm gonna play around with Chat GPT a bit more. Um, but yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
Cool.
Is
So
that
that
it for above the fold?
yeah, that wraps up above the fold for this week. All right, so you ready to jump into guess that spokesperson?
Let's do it.
All right. So your brand is Estee Lauder.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Yep, got it.
And here are your three clues for the spokesperson. I will give it to you. She is one of the most influential young leaders and activists of her time.
Okay.
She is Grammy nominated,
Okay.
and she is an activist and award-winning writer.
Well, you said activist twice. That feels like cheating.
No, I didn't. I said she's one of the most influential young leaders and advocates of her time.
Oh, advocates. She's nominated for a Grammy. Is that what you
She's
said?
Grammy nominated.
Oh, she's Grammy nominated this year? Like the Grammys that just passed?
No, not this year.
Or just in general, she's a Grammy nominated artist. Estee Lauder.
Oh wait, actually, yeah, 2023.
Um, and the last clue was what now? What was the last clue?
She's an activist and award-winning writer.
Award-winning writer. Estee Lauder. Was the campaign with Estee Lauder within the last 5 years?
Yes.
Is she a singer?
No.
I got one more question.
I think if you really think about this, you will be able to understand and get who the spokesperson is.
Wait, say that, say that again with all the hand. If I do what? If I use my brain and really think hard, my dumb ass can get it. Right? What happened? What happened now?
Yes. Okay.
Let me ask one more question.
Okay, go ahead.
Has she recently been in the news?
That's
Okay, if you got to Google,
how would
then
I
it's
know
not
that?
who I'm thinking. If you have to Google, then it's not who I'm thinking. So never mind. The answer is no.
She recently wrote a children's book that was in the news.
Okay, no, that's not at all who I'm thinking.
All right, you give up. Think like presidential.
Michelle Obama.
Amanda Gorman.
I was not thinking about her at all. Amanda Gorman. What? I was never gonna get that. Like ever.
Really?
Ever. No. No.
Yeah.
I forgot that
I mean,
name.
okay.
Like what? Okay, whatever. That was a good one. Good one. Good one. Good one.
Yeah, and the campaign is very, very recent as well. They named her to the like their first ever global change maker. And yeah, so I think this is like this year. Like a super
Gotcha.
recent.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
go
got me.
ahead.
You got me. Because you know, I would rather one where I was like, okay, I was never gonna get that than like, oh, I should have known that. So I'll give it to you.
Yeah, fair. All right, cool. Let's get into Going With Your Black Ads, or That Ain't It. Now,
Okay.
it.
All right.
Who you
Can I
got?
go first? So
Yes.
for Going With Your Black Ads, I'm gonna give it to Rihanna and all her brands. Primarily Fenty, but like the music side of things too. Everything that came with her being the Super Bowl halftime performer. Rihanna the brand. I'm giving it to Rihanna the brand. Going With Your Black Ads. As far as That Ain't It, I feel like the only thing we spoke about this time that is clearly like that ain't it is the Miami Police Department, which did you just highlight that on the page? Okay.
Yes.
I was already about to say that, but yes. Miami Police Department, that ain't it. What about you?
Literally the same.
No extra commentary, just retweet.
I'm not quoting
Retweet.
tweet. I'm retweeting.
No quote tweet, just retweet. I love it.
Retweet. All of the things. All the things we said about Rihanna, and then all the things we said about the police department, and then echoing what you said. So, retweet. Yeah.
Simple as that.
Episode 45. In the bag.
In
the bag.
In the bag. We back, baby.
Going
That's
for
it.
a minute, but we back. As always, follow us wherever you follow anybody. Witcha Black Ads on IG. Check out our website, witchabblackads.com, and listen wherever you find podcasts and view us.
Subscribe on YouTube. Yeah, I thought you were about to leave that one out. Subscribe.
Hit that bell.
Hit that
But
bell.
until next
Is that what it
time,
is?
I
It's a
think so.
bell? I never realized that. Okay.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Peace.
Bye.
That's what the fuck I'm talking about. God, that's what I'm talking about. It was so black ass. It was black ass.